Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Phoenix Within. I'm your host, Donis. I'm so grateful that you are here. Whether you're driving to work, sitting in your office before students arrive, walking your campuses, or maybe you're listening after a long day when everyone else has gone home. I want you to know something. I am honored that you chose to spend this time with me. This podcast has always been about having the conversations we don't always get to and have in education, the real conversations, the conversations about purpose, leadership, failure, growth, and what it really means to serve others. Today's a little bittersweet because this is the final episode in our three-part series on leadership and systems. We've been on this journey together for the last three episodes. In part one, we talked about why systems matter. We talked about how schools don't become excellent because they have extraordinary people. They become extraordinary because extraordinary people commit to extraordinary systems. We talked about moving away from random acts of leadership and building intentional, repeatable practices that create consistency for students and staff. Then in part two, we had what I think was one of the hardest conversations leaders needed to hear. Stop being the hero. We talked about how too many of us define our value by how many fires we put out. We think about being needed and what it means to lead. When in reality, sometimes the fire keeps happening because we haven't built systems to prevent them. We talked about letting go and trusting people and about empowering others, about realizing that leadership isn't about proving how capable you are. It's about helping others discover how capable they are. And today, we bring it all together. Because here's what I learned after more than 2 decades in education. Systems are not the destination. They're simply the vehicle. The destination has always been people. And today isn't really about systems. It's about the legacy those systems create. And honestly, this episode is probably the most personal one I've recorded yet. Can I ask you a question? Not a leadership question, not an interview question, not a life question. If tomorrow was your last day at your current position, what would remain? Not your office, not your title, not your parking spot. What truly remains? Would people remember your spreadsheets? Probably not. Would people remember your how quickly you answered emails? Probably not. Would they remember how many committees you chaired? Probably not. But they'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember if they felt safe enough to make mistakes around you. They'll remember if they left your office believing in themselves a little more than when they walked in. And that's been sitting heavily on my heart lately. As many of you may already know or may not know, I have recently accepted the incredible honor of being elementary lead assistant principal. And I'll be honest, when I got the call, I cried. Not because of the title, not because of the recognition. I cried because my mind immediately went somewhere else. I thought about my mom. I thought about the little boy growing up who had no idea what his future would look like. I thought about losing my father when I was just 3 years old. I thought about my mother working so hard to give me the opportunity she never had. And then I realized she never got to see this. She never got to see me graduate from college. She never got to watch me earn 2 master's degrees. She never got to call me doctor. She never got to see me become an assistant principal. She'll never get to see me become a principal one day. There are moments when that hurts more than I can put into words. But then I remind myself, everything I am started with someone who believed in me before I believed in myself. And isn't that what leadership is? Believing in people before they see it in themselves. One of the biggest lessons I've learned, and honestly, one I still have to remind myself of, is this: leadership isn't about you. It's never been about you. It's about people you serve. When I first became an assistant principal, I thought my job was to have all the answers. I wanted to prove I deserved to be there. So I worked longer, answered every email, solved every problem, stayed late, came in early. Something needs to get done, I do it. Not familiar? Maybe some of you are smiling because you've been there too. But one day I found myself sitting in my car after work, completely exhausted, not just physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I remember asking myself, is this really what leadership is supposed to look like? Is this what it's supposed to feel like? Then it hit me. I wasn't exhausted because leadership was hard. I was exhausted because I built a system where everything depended on me. That wasn't leadership. That was dependency. If you listen to all three episodes, if you remember one thing, I hope it is this: healthy systems create healthy leaders. Healthy systems create healthy teachers. Healthy systems create healthy schools, and healthy schools change children's lives. That's why systems matter. Not because they're organized, not because they're efficient, not because they make us look good. Systems matter because they remove barriers so people can focus on what matters most: relationships, learning, growth, hope, love, sacrifice. Systems should never replace humanity. They should protect it. One day, every one of us will leave. We'll retire, we'll get promoted, we'll move on. Life will happen. So ask yourself, what story will people tell? Will they say they answered every email, or they believed in me? Will they say they worked harder than anyone, or they taught me how to become a better leader? That's the difference between management and legacy. As we close this leadership and systems series, I don't want you thinking about a checklist. I don't want you to think about another leadership book. I want you to think about one question: who is becoming a better leader because of you? Not because you told them what to do, because you showed them they were capable. That's leadership. That's systems. That's legacy. As we close this three-part journey, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but choosing to lead during one of the most challenging times education has ever faced. Our schools need leaders who build systems, not silos, who develop people, not dependency, who choose courage over comfort, who understand that leadership isn't about having all the answers, it's about asking the right questions and creating the conditions for others to thrive. I hope this series has challenged you to look beyond the daily fires and start building something that lasts. Because one day, your title will change. Your office will belong to someone else. Your name will come off that door. But your impact, your culture, your systems, the leaders you developed, the children whose lives were changed because you chose to lead differently, that is your legacy. Thank you for walking through this leadership and systems series with me. I hope you'll carry these conversations into your schools, your teams, and your lives. Until next time, remember, leadership isn't about being the hero. Leadership is about building people, creating systems that honor people, and leaving every place better than you found it. I'm Donis, and this has been The Phoenix Within. Keep rising, keep serving, keep building leaders. And never forget the strongest legacy you'll ever leave isn't found in what you accomplished, but in the people who accomplished great things because you believed in them. Until next time.